Okay, well, we've only missed a bit, and you can go to the next slide. This is a picture of my friend's daughter, and I've called it Dressing Up for the Bees, because that's her outfit for when she tends them. And you can see their lovely garden for the bees that they've got. The next slide. So I'm continuing with this passage from Richard Baucham's book, The Bible in Ecology, with biblical quotes. Even the stork in the heavens knows its times, and the turtle, dove, swallow, and crane observe the time of their coming. But my people do not know the ordinance of the Lord. That's from Jeremiah. These various quotations that I've given lead Baucham to interpret the passage in Romans to refer to ecological degradation. It shows the earth mourning for loss of fertility, plants and animals dying, rather than a woman's travail in labour. There is also a long passage from Joel, which I won't read out all of it. The fields are devastated. Even the wild animals cry to you because the watercourses are dried up. The author thinks Joel explains what Paul is referring to in his passage, that the whole of creation suffers because of our sin, especially now with planet ruined from overconsumption. Yet, for a Christian, there is still hope. Biblical writers look for a liberation from the entail of our misdeeds, that there will be a divine regeneration of the natural world, as in some other quotes. And when Paul says, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and will obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. An organic garden or allotment can help in a small way to bring this regeneration. We could go to the next slide. Now, bees. Where do they come from and what they do and their survival? Bees evolved from predatory wasps around 120 million years ago, but now drink nectar from flowers, moving between and pollinating as they go. And that's an interesting link to learn about how bees got here. They're vital to life on Earth.
Oh no.
Oh. Oh.
Marissa's muted now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. Yeah, sorry, Marissa.
Where did people stop hearing?
Only 2 sentences ago, that was all.
Okay. Well,
I got the link, but not after the link.
They are vital to life on Earth and pollinate plants such as potatoes, strawberries, tomatoes, coffee, chocolate and cotton. Surprisingly, due to their importance, bees are fighting for survival against intensive farming, and especially the chemicals of Monsanto Bayer, such as Roundup, according to many websites and authorities. These neonicotinoids, sorry, I can't say that, are being spread despite numerous court cases against their use. So having an organic allotment will help bees' survival. For every 10% increase in organic space, bees remultiply by over a third. Shows you how well we can help them. So we can go to the next slide. This is a little clip. If you
Oh.
Yes, that that's kind of played a little jerkily. Do you want to try and see if you could start again at the beginning and see if it plays it better? Might be doing that because there's a lot of us maybe viewing it, I don't know, but that's a little film clip of my friend's daughter looking after the bees. Okay. So, the importance of bees to agriculture. On average, there are 50% more abundant plant, insects and bird life on organic farms. £690 million is the mind-boggling amount that insect pollination is worth to UK crops each year. 76% of globally important commercial crops depend on insect pollination, which equates to 1 in 3 mouthfuls of food. There are around 75% more wild bees on organic farms. Organic farming can improve the number of bees found in habitats surrounding the farm. This is because organic farmers use fewer pesticides and have a higher amount of bee-friendly habitats like wildflower margins. And this is from the Soil Association. And they also do this little kit, you know, if you can't manage a beehive, that's a little kit you could get from them if you want to. Could even send it as a Christmas present, I guess, to people. I've often thought of, I'm an eco-artist, and I've often thought of, you know, a sort of like a spurious cartoon of thousands of people individually pollinating plants because the bees have died out. You know, you can just almost envisage what would have to happen if we lose all our bees. And that's another little film we could play. You can just about see some of them flying in and out. But they're all nice and at home in there. So next slide. Now, beekeeping is a huge topic, and you can start with this simple kit from Friends of the Earth. There's a little one, another one. Now, my friends have been keeping bees for many years, and the clips show them tending bees with protective clothing and smoke which calms them. Anyone interested in keeping bees would need to check permissions with Allotment Society, and I'd advise joining that society. But if you can't keep bees, then planting wildflowers, shrubs, vegetables, and companion plants will attract many bees and butterflies during the summer, and plans can now be made for next year to help bees and ourselves. Okay, so next slide. That's another little clip. Okay. So I discussed last month about crop rotation and companion planting, and I gave some little diagrams, and I actually repeated them because I think it's quite interesting for people to see how I do it. Now, some of these, mine isn't in a series of rows, my allotment. It's quite a big allotment. I've got one section that's always for brassicas because it's under a metal sort of frame and you can't work out how to move it, so it stays there, but I rotate them within that patch. We could go on to the next one. Now blanked out the groups so that they can be rotated. So because if you move them around each year, then there's less chance of diseases. Now this uses the permaculture idea of a mandala to plant into instead of rows. As an eco-artist doing art workshops for groups based on my allotment, this makes it more interesting. And as I've said, I can't move the brassicas, but I change them around within that space. So that's a blank template that could be downloaded from the site probably, or I can easily send these to people through my email address. If you'd like a blank template, I can do that. And then the next one. Now I've put in the groups for next year. These are the vegetable groups, which you'll soon see. I've also got a slide of the vegetable groups. So I've moved them all around, except for the brassicas, which are group C, which will stay put. And I start the seeds in January. I've luckily got a greenhouse, so I start them off in the greenhouse. Last year I didn't put the heater on, but I think I'll have to this year because they didn't really do anything for ages. In fact, the tomatoes didn't really get going until about July. So the next one. This is a more cohesive plan of the mandala. You plant into a collection of trees with tall plants at the back, which shade the other ones in the front. So that's the original idea. I've got a kind of in the middle. I've got a budling that I cut down to the ground each year, and it sprouts up each year. And I have that with the globe artichokes attracting lots and lots of bees and butterflies. So the next one. This is the crop rotation from this book, and this is the crop rotation plan I use. But there are others from different sites. But this is what I've sort of tended to use. And I won't be planting all of those next year, just some. And there are some perennials. I've got some seeds, which I'll talk about later, that I could send. I think I've got some spare chard, globe artichokes. Those are the ones with the big flowers, the globe artichokes. I might have some of last year's beetroot, and I'll see. I've just got them all thrown into cardboard boxes at the moment, but I've got quite a lot of seeds that I've harvested. So those are the groups to keep to roughly. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes they spill over. Okay, next one. Companion planting I talked about last month. And the idea is that companion or sacrificial planting, they're plants that attract the pests, so they go for them instead of the vegetables. Although, of course, it might just attract more pests, but I'll find out. I've just ordered some marigolds from the organic gardening catalogue that I'm a member of. I get 10% off, so I've just ordered some seeds that I didn't manage to harvest, and nasturtiums I've ordered too, because I'm going to have a go at this companion planting. Because I did do it last time, but it was sort of just just sort of wildflowers really that grew up, lots and lots of borage and things, poppies, daisies. But those are ones to grow in with the vegetable groups that should help keep them safe. And a couple of links for more information. Okay. So go to the next one. right now. Sue Charlton gave an excellent tip on last month's discussion on how to identify helpful and harmful plants. I was talking about that, you know, you want to be careful really, because although many plants are wonderful, some are not. And there's an app that can be downloaded and learned to use on obvious plants first, Sue suggests, and then you can use it on ones you don't know. And that's the app for it. PL@NTNet, like PlantNet. I have some spare seeds I can mail to people. Chard, globe artichoke, red clover, borage, runner beans, and 2020 beetroot and others. I've still got quite a lot of 2020 seeds because I harvested loads. I don't know if they'll take for next year, but I'm willing to send them out. And the first ones are these years that I've harvested. And otherwise, dry and store your own in old envelopes and then tins to prevent mice eating them. And I get some from the organic gardening company, or I'm lucky we've got an allotment shop where you can also get them, but they wouldn't be organic from there. But sometimes if my organic ones fail, I rush over to the allotment shop. I start in seed trays in January in the greenhouse to plant out after main frosts in March to April. And at the moment, we're laying down a sheet mulch described last month. I found through Free Cycle, someone's getting rid, they're redoing the thatch on the cottage in the forest, in the New Forest. So I'm going to go with my daughter and grab some of that. And there's also someone with horses over near Forth Castle. He says we can come and get his horse manure. And I've got some green manures to plant as well. Some green manure seeds, the red clover and something vetch, something. So I won't be planting anything for a while. So I sort of thought of having a break and maybe starting maybe March or April if people would like. But we can talk about that. Okay, so that's it. Barbara, you're muted.
Yes, I coughed, so I muted rather than cough. And Julie has joined us. Hello, Julie. Julie Cox. Okay, and Anne has left to another meeting. Any thoughts and questions from Marissa? Anything you want to, and it sparked any thoughts?
A thought and another quick question. Marissa, when you talked about what would happen, well, you very, very briefly mentioned what could happen if we didn't have bees pollinating. It reminded me of a book, and I wonder if others know of this book, The History of Bees, which is fiction. It's a sort of dystopian novel with three parallel narratives, one from the past about a farmer who introduced bees, one from round about now, farmers resisting modern ways of farming, and then one well in the future in China where people pollinate trees instead of bees. It's a bit dystopian, but it's quite an interesting read. Okay.
I have heard that people are pollinating by hand in China, actually. I have seen that on some websites. It's already happening.
And then very briefly, can I keep seeds from vegetables that I buy, such as squash, and sow those to grow squash?
I don't know. I'd say probably yes, if they're organic vegetables, but I don't know with ordinary ones whether it would work, because I don't know quite how the seed will have been produced.
So if I were to try, what what should I dry them completely or keep them in the dark or
Dry them in old envelopes in the airing cupboard and put them in tins and then try next year.
Thank you.
I have not had much success with seeds from vegetables I've bought, but I'm lucky that I keep about 2/3 of my seeds from what I've grown, so I don't need to get that many. But yeah, and I don't quite know how to tell what soil you've got. I think maybe go to the Soil Association and ask them. You might even be able to use some kind of soil analysis app.
Yes, kits or okay. Yeah.
And you had one other question as well.
Earlier, what would people do? I mean, only if there's time for this, but it was just an onward discussion. If you had a really limited space, would you prioritize growing food or rewilding?
Well, I'm going to suggest, Marissa, should we just go into smaller, if I divide us into 2 smaller groups, because one has a better conversation often with fewer people, say for about 10 minutes and just share thoughts on what you've said and then come back, including thinking about that question.
Can you put Sue in the other group?
I will.
She's so knowledgeable.
Sue with Catherine and Dick in the north and you with the southerners. So if we say 10 minutes, then we can come back and share together. Right. Hopefully that will work. Well, we had a great conversation.
Barbara, I'm going to have to go, I'm afraid, because I've got a meeting to go to. Can I just say one thing before I go, because we may not be meeting in December.
Yeah, let's just talk about before you go that then. Yes, go on, Dick.
I did offer, if anybody wanted in the springtime, to send free to a good home. I'm going to be digging up some of my comfrey. It's the Bocking 14 variety. The plants get very congested and thick rooted, and there will be some offshoots, some slips from the side, and if anybody wants, I'm very happy to send them in the post because they root easily. So if we're recording, you could send me a text message on 077 888 42236, and come springtime I'm happy to send you some of those. Sorry, I've got to go now. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, and if anyone...
Excuse me as well to get tea before next meeting.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Catherine. And Michael's just arrived at the end. Right.
Hello, Michael.
So in a few minutes, everybody's got something burning to say. So you or anybody else.
Hello, Michael. Well done for managing to reach us. And it will be recorded and you will be able to see it on the Green Christian website. So maybe you and David could even watch it together when you next go and visit him. These are my 2 cousins, Michael and David,
Okay.
on my mum's side. Yes. And
well, anybody want to contribute anything? Catherine's gone. We did talk about her questions in our group, so we gave her some ideas, I think.
yes.
I'd like to say thank you very much for holding this series of webinars. I've found them very relaxing apart from anything else, and just very nice, pleasurable way to spend, you know, an hour or so. So thank you very much,
That's
Marissa.
something we all get interested in. Yeah. Well, we won't. We're thinking of not. We won't have anything in December, Marissa, will we? Shall we?
Or January.
Or January?
I think probably started March, maybe. I think.
What else do you think? Is that okay?
That's not going to be too late for us to
Or should we just
start planting things.
How about February?
Yeah, I think February would be good.
Could you bear that, Marissa? Could that be okay, Marissa? Because I think we're certainly down we will be starting to do things in March, won't we?
Yes.
In the gardens and allotments. Is that okay with you, Sue? Okay.